What's up, TM Nation? So I've been using the new Bose QuietComfort Ultra 2nd generation headphones for the past couple of weeks, and I know some of you are probably thinking another pair of Bose headphones, but if you own the previous generation and you want to know if these are worth upgrading to, or if you're looking to get into the ANC headphone game and want to know if the QC Ultras are the gold standard, I will talk about the differences between the 1st and 2nd generations, because in some areas they've added some really nice features, whereas in others, I think Bose may have played it a little bit too careful considering all of the upgrades that Sony made to the WH-1000 XM6 headphones that I've been rocking as my go-to leisure listening and travel headphones for a couple of months now. I did pick up the black version of the QC Ultras this time around because I do have the lighter color in the 1st generation, but I do want to let you guys know that Bose has started dropping a lot of dope colors in their different products, such as Deep Plum, Midnight Violet, Driftwood Sand, Desert Gold, Moonlight Gray, Ice Blue, and Fog Gray. So no matter what your style is, you should be able to find a colorway that you like. Let me start with the elephant in the room, which is the fact that the 2nd generation looks almost identical to the 1st generation. I'm talking about the same deep ear cups, same lightweight folding design, and same substantial padding on the ear cups and the top headband. So if you don't know what you're looking at, it's hard to tell the difference between the two, but I will tell you that the most notable difference is going to be the fact that they swapped out that matte finish for a glossy frame. Now, whether that's an upgrade or a downgrade is going to be subjective, but when it comes to my personal opinion, I'm not mad at it. The build quality still feels really solid, and even though they're slightly heavier at 9.33 ounces compared to the original, I honestly couldn't tell a difference while they were on my head. And speaking of wearing them, the comfort is still excellent. You get that same plush padding along with that secure but comfortable clamping force that made the 1st generation so easy to wear for longer listening sessions. Like the OG pair, I've been wearing these for hours at a time, and even when I'm outside exercising wearing my glasses, I have no issues with any ear fatigue or discomfort. Now moving on to the real upgrades, and this is where things get interesting. You're gonna get USB Type-C audio with the 2nd generation. So this means that you don't just use the USB Type-C port for charging anymore. You can actually get 24-bit, 48 kilohertz lossless audio while your headphones are charging. This is something that a lot of you all out there ask for, and I do notice that they sound slightly different over USB Type-C compared to Bluetooth. Over USB Type-C, you get more clarity and focus, especially in the vocals. You get less muddiness, and the soundstage has a little bit more airiness. Plus, in terms of the raw output, using them over USB Type-C, you are going to get slightly more volume. So if you're someone who likes to listen to their music extra loud, then USB Type-C with these headphones is likely going to be the best connection for you to choose. The battery life got a nice upgrade too. We're talking about 30 hours of use on a charge with ANC on instead of the 24 hours that you get with the 1st generation, and this battery bump puts them on par with the WH-1000 XM6s, which is definitely a welcome improvement for those of you all that take a lot of long flights or have the habit of taking your headphones off and not charging them. So another area where they have made upgrades to the 2nd generation is going to be in the call quality. Much like with the earbuds, the 2nd generation of the QC Ultras is supposed to be able to focus on your speech and reject more of your ambient noise than the 1st generation. But not only that, the 2nd generation is supposed to sound a lot less robotic while doing this. So as always, I did take some samples just so that you guys can judge the quality for yourselves. Let's check them out. Alright guys, so right now I have the 1st generation QC Ultras paired to my iPhone 17 Pro, and as you can see, the audio that you're hearing is coming from the microphones on them. Right now the room is relatively quiet, but I will do my background noise test in just a moment. Give me a second. And now I have some simulated background noise playing in the background. And this part of the test is aimed at seeing how well the microphones on these headphones can go ahead and focus on my speech while rejecting some of that noise. So let me know what you guys think. Are they doing a pretty good job, or did you expect better? Now I have the 2nd generation QC Ultras paired to my iPhone 17 Pro. So again, like the 1st test, the audio that you're hearing is coming directly from the microphones on them. So let me know what you guys think. This is the quiet room test. I will do my background noise test. Give me a second. And here is the background noise test using the 2nd generation QC Ultras. Like the 1st test, I want to see how well these are able to focus on my speech while rejecting some of that ambient noise. So let me know what you guys think. Which pair does the best? Now for the noise cancellation, this is where things get a little bit complicated. The Gen 2 is still fantastic at ANC, don't get me wrong, but to me they're better at cutting noise in the mid-treble region, which means you'll hear less keyboard typing, less human chatter, and if you're outside walking, riding your bike, or something of that nature, you will hear less of the road noise getting through. But here's the thing, I did test both pairs extensively, and although I can tell a difference when I take the first gen off and then put the second generation on, there isn't a world of difference between them that I can point to. So if you have the first generation and are just looking for an upgrade specifically in the ANC department, I don't think that upgrading is going to be worth it. But if you're looking for the best of the best that Bose has to offer, the Gen 2s are extremely solid in this department, and they just improve upon the foundation that the Gen 1s provided. That being said, these are still some of the best active noise canceling headphones on the market. On a plane or public transit, they'll block out most of that engine rumble, and even if you're in a busy cafe or something of that nature and you put these on in ANC mode, the conversations going on around you are likely going to completely disappear. Speaking on the sound quality, this is where I have some mixed feelings. The Gen 2 sound different from the OG pair. With them to my ears, I get more of a focus on the vocals and a more focused and controlled bass response in comparison to the bloat that you could get with the Gen 1s. But overall, in comparison, using the exact same EQ settings with both pairs, I'd say that the Gen 1s are more laid back, but to me, like I said, they have a more full and rumbly bass response than what you get with the more refined Gen 2 version. Other than that, I do like the sound staging and openness that you get with the Gen 2 version, which is an improvement in my opinion over the OGs. But if you want less bloaty bass and more definition with the vocals, I think that you're gonna enjoy the Gen 2s more. They also added this new cinema mode that's optimized for movies, and I actually prefer this over the regular immersive mode because it has a different EQ with noticeably less reverb in the mids. I do want to touch on a couple of things that I wish were improved with the second generation that remain sticking points in my opinion. The EQ customization is still painfully limited. With both pairs, you get 4 presets and basic bass, mids, and treble sliders that aren't even labeled for their frequencies. In my opinion, for a $450 pair of headphones that sound as good as these can sound, I do think that the EQ customization could use some heavy improvements. Especially when you compare these to what you'll get with the Sonys, it really just starts to feel like you're unnecessarily limited in how you can control your sound signature with the Bose headphones. I also feel like the transparency mode seems to be dialed back with the newer pair. This could be something that is addressed via a firmware update, but so far during my testing, it seems like they're not capturing as much of what is going on around me as what I typically get with the Gen 1 version. It's still transparent enough for general awareness and conversations, but I wouldn't say that they're leading the pack in this area, as I think the AirPods Max and WH-1000 XM6s do a better job of capturing what's going on around me and sounding natural while doing so. So here's my final verdict, and let me know if you agree with me in the comments section. I'd say if you own the first generation, the Gen 2 QC Ultras may be a compelling upgrade. If you need the better call quality, that slight improvement to the noise cancellation, USB Type-C audio support, the added cinema mode, and better battery life, because those are legitimate improvements. But if you're choosing between the Gen 2 QC Ultras and the competition, it's not as clear cut because the WH-1000 XM6s by Sony still edge them out in the areas that most people care about the most, which are better active noise cancellation, much better options in terms of sound customization, and they're still very comfortable on my head and ears, just not quite as comfortable as what I get with the Bose pairs. But like I said earlier, I'm curious to know what you guys think. Do you think that these are enough upgrades to justify purchasing the Gen 2, or should Bose have pushed a little bit harder with more significant improvements? Let me know in the comments section what you think. But other than that, guys, as always, I appreciate you coming through and hanging out with your boy for a while. Please do me a huge favor and hit that like and subscribe before you get on out of here if you haven't already, as it does help the channel out immensely. But until next time, I will catch y'all in the next video. Peace.